My fiancée's old friend kept inserting himself into our wedding plans with helpful suggestions. I told her he was trying to sabotage us because he still had feelings for her, and she accused me of being controlling, but what he did on the wedding day proved I was right all along. I'm Liam, 30M, and until recently, I was the happiest man alive. My fiancée, Chloe, 28F, and I had been together for 5 wonderful years. Our relationship was the kind people write songs about, easy, full of laughter, and built on a foundation of genuine respect and adoration. I knew from our third date that I was going to marry her, and when I finally proposed on a trip to the coast, her tearful yes was the single greatest moment of my life. The future felt bright and limitless. There was, however, one persistent, low-level hum of anxiety in the background of our perfect life, and his name was Ethan. Ethan, 28M, was Chloe's best friend from university. They'd met in a darkroom, both studying photography, and had been inseparable ever since. I came into the picture years later. From the very beginning, I did my absolute best to be the cool, understanding boyfriend. I have female friends, I get it. But my friendship with them is fundamentally different from the bond between Chloe and Ethan. It was intense. When Chloe and I first started dating, Ethan was a constant presence. I wrote it off as him being a protective friend, vetting the new guy. Fair enough. But as our relationship solidified and it became clear we were serious, his presence didn't wane, it just changed shape. He was a professional photographer, a very talented one, and his life seemed to orbit Chloe's in a way that always set my teeth on edge. He was the first person she called with good news, the shoulder she cried on after a bad day at work, the keeper of all her inside jokes from a decade ago. What really unnerved me was the pattern of his own love life. It was almost comically predictable. In the 5 years Chloe and I had been together, Ethan had cycled through 3 different girlfriends. Each relationship started with a flurry of social media posts and double dates, but they all fizzled out within 6 to 8 months. The strangest part, which Chloe insisted was pure coincidence, was how his breakups always seemed to align with moments of friction between us. The one time Chloe and I briefly separated for a month, 2 years in, Ethan miraculously broke up with his then girlfriend within a week and dedicated himself to being Chloe's round-the-clock support system. When we got back together, he was suddenly distant and moody for a month before, like clockwork, finding someone new to date. It felt less like a series of failed relationships and more like he was just parking his heart in temporary spots while waiting for the main space, Chloe, to open up. Still, I buried my concerns. I trusted Chloe completely, and she always defended him with a fierce loyalty that made me feel like a heel for even questioning it. He's just my best friend, Liam, she'd say, a hint of frustration in her voice. He's like a brother to me. You have to stop being so sensitive about it. So, I tried. For her sake, I tried. Then we got engaged, and the wedding planning began. This is where the low-level hum of anxiety cranked up into a blaring siren. The moment we announced our engagement, Ethan called Chloe, bubbling with excitement. His wedding gift to us, he declared, would be his photography services, completely free of charge. It was an incredibly generous offer. A photographer of his caliber would have cost us thousands, money we were already stressed about. Chloe was ecstatic, touched by his generosity. I, on the other hand, felt a cold dread wash over me. This wasn't a gift. This was a Trojan horse. It was his all-access pass to insert himself into the very heart of our wedding, to make himself indispensable, to be the third person in our marriage before it even began. Isn't that amazing of him? Chloe beamed, her eyes shining. It's incredibly generous, I said carefully, trying to choose my words. But are you sure? It feels like a lot to ask of a guest. We want him to enjoy the day, not work through it. Chloe's face fell. Don't be like that, Liam. He wants to do this for us. It's his way of showing how much he cares. Why can't you just accept it? I saw the familiar wall of defense go up, and I backed down. The battle was lost before it even began. Ethan was officially our wedding photographer. And so, his campaign of subtle sabotage began. It started with the venue. Chloe and I spent weeks searching and finally found the perfect place, a beautifully restored barn with rustic charm and gorgeous gardens. We were in love with it. We put a deposit down, thrilled. When we told Ethan, his response was a thoughtful pause, followed by, "Oh, the old Miller barn. I shot a wedding there last year. The lighting is an absolute nightmare after 3 p.m. You lose all the natural light. The photos will be grainy unless you spend a fortune on a professional lighting rig." He then sent Chloe a link to a different venue, a sleek, modern art gallery that was nearly double the price. "The light in this place, though," his text read, "is a photographer's dream. Your pictures would be timeless." Chloe started to worry. Suddenly, our dream barn was a potential photographic disaster. I had to spend an hour convincing her that our wedding was about more than just the photos and that the barn was perfect for us. We kept the barn, but a seed of doubt had been planted. Next came the dress. Chloe went shopping with her mother and her sister. I was explicitly not invited, but Ethan apparently was, via text. She sent him photos of her top 3 choices. The one she loved, a beautiful A-line dress with delicate lace sleeves, was the clear winner. Her mother cried when she put it on. Ethan's text arrived moments later. "The A-line is nice, but that silhouette can be tricky. It might make you look a bit boxy in wide shots. The mermaid dress, though? That one will photograph like a dream. It really shows off your figure. The mermaid dress was her least favorite, she felt self-conscious in it. But his comment about being boxy stuck with her. It took her another week to finally commit to the dress she'd originally loved, her joy slightly tarnished by his professional opinion. This became the pattern. The caterer we chose? Their presentation can be a bit rustic, he told Chloe. It doesn't always pop in photos. The florist? Her arrangements are a little dated. You want flowers that provide a strong color contrast. He even had an opinion on the invitations, suggesting a different font that was more photogenic. With every helpful suggestion, I felt my blood pressure rise. He wasn't helping, he was controlling. He was systematically dismantling every choice we made together and replacing it with his own. He was curating his perfect wedding, and Chloe was just the model. I saw it so clearly, but whenever I tried to point it out, Chloe would leap to his defense. He's a professional, Liam. This is what he does for a living. He's just trying to make sure our day is perfect. I don't understand why you have to see malice in everything he does. It feels like you're jealous of my friendship with him. The accusation stung because maybe, on some level, I was. I was jealous of the power he held over her, of his ability to make her doubt her own judgment with a single, carefully worded text message. The breaking point, the moment I knew I couldn't stay silent any longer, had nothing to do with the wedding itself. It was the honeymoon. We had excitedly planned a 2-week adventure in Costa Rica, ziplining, rainforest hikes, surfing. We were buzzing about it. When Chloe mentioned it to Ethan, he, of course, had an opinion. The next day, she received a long, detailed email from him. It was a masterpiece of passive-aggressive concern. He wrote about the unpredictable rainy season, the risk of mosquito-borne illnesses, and the disappointing tourist traps. He then attached a portfolio of photos he'd taken on a trip to Santorini. Honestly, Chloe, he wrote, for a honeymoon, you want romance, beauty, memories that will last a lifetime. Imagine your photos there. That was it. He had crossed a line. This wasn't about photography anymore. This was about him trying to dictate our first days as a married couple. That night, I sat Chloe down on the sofa. I took a deep breath and promised myself I would stay calm. We need to talk about Ethan, I said, my voice quiet but firm. I laid it all out for her, the constant undermining of our decisions, the way he framed every criticism as a professional concern, the unnerving pattern of his own relationships. I told her about the Trojan horse, how his gift was just a way to gain control. He's not just being a helpful friend, Chloe, I said, looking her straight in the eye. He is actively trying to sabotage our wedding, our honeymoon, us. And he's doing it for one reason. I paused, my heart pounding. He is still in love with you. He can't stand to see you marry me, so he's trying to turn our wedding into his own masterpiece, a wedding where he's the one in control, not me. The silence that followed was heavy and cold. Chloe stared at me, her expression shifting from confusion to disbelief, and then to pure anger. That is the most ridiculous, paranoid thing I have ever heard, she said, her voice trembling. You are so blinded by jealousy that you're inventing this insane narrative. Ethan is my best friend. He has never, not once, crossed a line with me. His entire existence in our life is a cross line. I shot back, my calmness evaporating. He's the ghost at the feast, constantly reminding you of what you could have had if you'd chosen him. You're being controlling, she cried, standing up. You want to isolate me from my oldest friend because you're insecure. I can't believe you. You're trying to ruin one of the most important relationships in my life, right before our wedding. The fight was brutal. It was the worst one we'd ever had. We both said things we regretted. She accused me of trying to manipulate her, I accused her of being blind. By the end of it, she was in tears, and I was sleeping on the sofa, a chasm of silence and anger between us. I had laid my cards on the table, and she had thrown them back in my face. For the first time, I felt a flicker of doubt about our future. How could we get married if she couldn't see the fox that was already inside the henhouse?
Hey guys, real quick, I hope you're enjoying the story. Don't forget to subscribe, it would really help the page. Thanks for supporting.
The week leading up to the wedding was excruciatingly tense. We were polite, but the warmth was gone. We moved through the final preparations like two business partners executing a contract. My heart ached. I felt like I was mourning a loss, even as I was supposed to be celebrating a beginning. Then, 4 days before the wedding, Ethan made his next move. He called Chloe with a brilliant idea. He wanted to do a pre-wedding bridal shoot with her. Just the two of them. He'd found a stunning location, a secluded clifftop about 2 hours drive away. He sold it to her as a chance to capture her serene beauty before the chaos of the big day, a special gift for Liam. Chloe, still raw from our fight and desperate to prove to both me and herself that her friendship with Ethan was innocent, told me she thought it was a sweet idea. I felt a surge of cold fury. Absolutely not, I said, my voice dangerously low. Are you serious, Chloe? After everything I said? You want to go on a solo road trip to a secluded location with him, 4 days before we get married? It's a photo shoot, Liam, not a romantic getaway, she insisted, her eyes pleading. You're twisting everything. He's trying to do something nice, to create a beautiful gift for you. The only gift I want is for him to respect the boundaries of our relationship, I said. This is not appropriate. I am asking you, as your future husband, not to go. I hated the words as they came out of my mouth. I had never given her an ultimatum before, but I was at the end of my rope. I can't physically stop you from going, I said, my voice breaking slightly. But if you choose to go, you are sending a very clear message about whose feelings you value more. She looked at me, her face a mask of conflict and hurt. I saw the war raging within her, her loyalty to him versus her love for me. I prayed she would make the right choice. The next afternoon, my phone buzzed. It was a text from her. On my way to the shoot. Don't be angry. I promise it's fine. Talk tonight. My heart shattered. She had chosen him. She had chosen to prioritize his feelings, his art, his manipulative agenda, over mine. I spent the rest of the day in a fog of misery and anger. I called my best man, Mark, and just vented, pacing my apartment like a caged animal. He listened patiently, agreeing that the entire situation was messed up beyond belief. Chloe came home late that evening. The moment she walked through the door, I knew something was wrong. The defiant anger was gone, replaced by a fragile, hollowed-out look. She was pale and quiet. How was it? I asked, my voice flat. Fine, she mumbled, not meeting my eyes. We got some good shots. So you still think I'm just being paranoid? I couldn't help myself. She flinched and just shook her head, her shoulders slumping. I'm really tired, Liam. Can we not do this right now? She retreated into the bedroom and closed the door, leaving me alone in the living room with my swirling thoughts. My gut screamed that something had happened on that clifftop. He had made a move. I was sure of it. But she had built a wall around herself, and I didn't know how to break through it without starting another war we couldn't afford. The next 2 days were a blur of forced smiles and last-minute errands. Chloe remained distant, her eyes shadowed with a secret I was certain she was keeping. I felt a growing sense of dread about the wedding day. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, but it felt like I was walking towards a cliff edge in the dark. The night before the wedding, we were in our separate hotel rooms. My groomsmen were trying to lighten the mood, but my heart wasn't in it. Around 10 p.m., my phone rang. It was Chloe, her voice a panicked whisper. Can you come to my room? Now? I ran down the hall, my mind racing through worst-case scenarios. I found her sitting on the edge of her bed, phone clutched in her hand, tears streaming down her face. Her sister, the maid of honor, was trying to comfort her, looking at me with wide, worried eyes. What is it? What's happened? I asked, kneeling in front of her. It's Ethan, she sobbed, holding out her phone. He. She couldn't finish. She just broke down completely. I took the phone and saw a string of texts from him. The last one read, "You were making the biggest mistake of your life. I can't stand by and watch you do it. Either you call this off, or I swear, I will tell everyone the truth tomorrow." The truth about what? I asked, my voice dangerously calm. And then, finally, the whole story came tumbling out. On the clifftop, during the photo shoot, Ethan had confessed everything. He'd told her he had loved her since the day they met. He said I didn't understand her, that I couldn't make her happy the way he could. He told her she was settling, that their connection was once in a lifetime, and that she was throwing it all away. And then, he had tried to kiss her. She had pushed him away, horrified. She told him in no uncertain terms that she loved me, that she was marrying me, and that he had destroyed their friendship. She had cut the shoot short and driven home in a state of shock and devastation. Why didn't you tell me, Chloe? I asked, my own anger warring with the pain I felt for her. I was ashamed, she cried. I was so ashamed that I had gone, that I had let it happen. I knew you'd be furious, and I was so scared you would say I told you so or call off the wedding. I just wanted to get through the next few days and deal with him after. I was going to cut him out of my life, I swear. But now, he's threatening to ruin everything. I pulled her into my arms. The anger was still there, a hot coal in my chest, but seeing her so broken, so betrayed by someone she had trusted for a decade, overrode it. I wasn't angry at her anymore. I was furious at him. He's not going to ruin anything, I said, my voice filled with a conviction I didn't entirely feel. We're not letting him win. We spent the next hour talking with her sister and my best man. The plan was simple. We would call his bluff. We found a local photographer online who, by some miracle, was available the next day. We hired him as a backup, telling him there might be a technical issue with our primary photographer. We decided to proceed as if nothing had happened. We would not let Ethan hold our wedding day hostage. The morning of the wedding was surreal. As I stood at the altar, waiting for Chloe, my stomach was in knots. I saw Ethan moving through the guests, camera in hand, a pleasant, professional smile plastered on his face. The audacity of it made me want to be sick. Then the music started, and Chloe appeared at the end of the aisle on her father's arm. She looked breathtaking. Our eyes met, and in that moment, the rest of the world, including Ethan, melted away. I saw the apology, the love, the fear, all swirling in her gaze. I gave her a small, reassuring nod. We were in this together. The ceremony was beautiful. We said our vows, our voices thick with emotion, and when the officiant declared us husband and wife, the kiss we shared was not just a kiss, it was a promise. A promise to protect each other, to trust each other, and to face down any threat together. The reception began, and for a few hours, we almost forgot about the ticking time bomb in the room. The speeches were heartfelt, the food was delicious, and our backup photographer was discreetly capturing everything. Ethan, meanwhile, was playing the part of the dedicated artist perfectly, orchestrating group shots and capturing candid moments. Then came time for the slideshow. A few weeks prior, Ethan had insisted on putting together a surprise for us, a slideshow of photos from our lives, culminating in the engagement shots he'd taken. He'd collected photos from our parents and friends. Chloe had thought it was a sweet gesture. Now, we knew it was a loaded gun. The lights dimmed, and the screen lit up. It started innocently enough. Pictures of me as a gap-toothed kid, photos of Chloe at her dance recitals. Then came photos of us with our friends, our families, photos from our travels. A gentle, romantic song played in the background. But then, the tone began to shift. The photos of me became less frequent. The photos of our mutual friends disappeared. It became a slideshow about Chloe. And then, a slideshow about Chloe and Ethan. There were dozens of them, photos I had never seen before. Them at university, laughing with their arms around each other. Them on a trip, sharing a single gelato. One particularly gut-wrenching photo showed them asleep on a sofa, her head on his shoulder, a look of serene adoration on his face. The music changed to a slow, heartbreaking ballad about lost love. A confused murmur rippled through the room. I gripped Chloe's hand under the table. She was trembling, her face ashen. The slideshow culminated in a single, stunningly beautiful, full-screen image. It was a photo of Chloe from the clifftop shoot. She was looking out at the ocean, the wind in her hair, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek. It was a masterpiece of photographic manipulation, making her look tragic and full of regret. Then, as the final chord of the song hung in the air, a caption slowly faded in at the bottom of the screen. The one that got away. The room fell into a stunned, horrified silence. You could have heard a pin drop. My mother-in-law gasped. My own father was on his feet, his face a mask of thunder. Chloe let out a small, choked sob and buried her face in her hands. A wave of pure, white-hot rage washed over me. The fear was gone, the anxiety was gone. All that was left was a cold, hard certainty. I stood up, picked up the microphone from the master of ceremonies table, and walked to the center of the dance floor. I'd like to thank Ethan for that. Touching tribute, I said, my voice ringing out in the silent room. Every eye was on me. I saw Ethan near the back, a smug, triumphant smirk on his face. For 5 years, I continued, my voice growing stronger, I have watched this man hide behind the title of friend while actively and maliciously trying to undermine my relationship with the woman I love. Last week, he confessed his feelings for my wife and tried to kiss her. When she rejected him, he threatened to ruin our wedding. And tonight, he tried to make good on that threat. The smirk on Ethan's face vanished, replaced by wide-eyed panic. So, Ethan, I said, looking directly at him. You were right about one thing. She is the one that got away. She got away from you. And she's not coming back. I turned to my groomsmen and Chloe's father. Now get out. It was over in seconds. My best man, Mark, and Chloe's dad, a man I had never seen angry before, were on him. They each took an arm and, without a word, escorted a humiliated, sputtering Ethan out of the venue to a smattering of applause. The lights came up, and the room was a sea of shocked faces. I went straight to Chloe, who was still crying, and pulled her to her feet and into my arms. I'm so sorry, Liam, she whispered into my chest. I'm so sorry. Shh, I whispered back, holding her tight. It's over. He's gone. You have nothing to be sorry for. I love you. The rest of the night was a strange, beautiful blur. Our friends and family rallied around us with a fierce protectiveness. They formed a circle of love and support that was impenetrable. The DJ, after a quick word from Mark, put on an upbeat song. I took Chloe's hand and led her to the dance floor for our first dance, which we'd almost missed. As we swayed together, I looked into her eyes, still glistening with tears, and saw not the broken woman from a few moments ago, but the strongest person I knew. We had faced the worst, and we had won. His poison had failed. In his desperate, pathetic attempt to tear us apart, he had only succeeded in forging our bond into something unbreakable. As our last-minute photographer snapped away, capturing the real, messy, triumphant story of our wedding day, I knew our future was finally, truly, just ours.